So there's a 3-year professional experience requirement for those applying to a special agent position, and that can come from a variety of backgrounds. I think what most people kind of misunderstand about our agents is they think, well, you have to have been a cop or you have to have been in the military, and the reality is, like a lot of our special agents, we pull them from a variety of disciplines, and so you could have been a tech guy. You could have been doing tech for 3 years, and we need that in the special agent cadres because we need special agents who understand how data and how information, can be utilized and support the investigations that we're doing. So whether you did accounting, you were in IT, you were in sales, like we're not so much concerned about what that previous background was, but we do want to see that you did something, you applied yourself, and we really kind of we get that as you go through that interview process, as we're asking you about your experiences. We're trying to see, like, okay, did you take initiative in those roles? Did you really apply yourself? Did you look for opportunities to have an impact and to make that more effective or whatever it was you were doing? And so, yeah, those are all things that we're gauging as we're interviewing people for those agent positions.
Now, what about non-agent route?
Yeah, so, one of the things I think most people probably are surprised about is the majority of people in the FBI are not special agents, right? So we've got about 12,000 of our population that are special agents. The other 24,000-ish, they're not. So we have a combination of intelligence-related positions, and then we've got a variety of professional staff positions, and those rank everything from our financial folks, our IT folks, our human resources folks. And so, it takes a lot of work to make sure that our agents have all of the tools and the resources and the planning and the analysis necessary to be successful in their jobs. So.
Right. And what's your career track? Is it I guess it's kind of a career service that you belong to or you were hired into?
So it's, on the professional staff side for the FBI, it's a little different than the special agents. The special agents have a very curated, career track that they go through as they're going through the organization. For our intelligence folks, they've also got somewhat of a stable career track. Our professional staff, it can vary.
Really?
And sometimes I joke with people, it's almost like a choose your own adventure type story, because so when I came into the Bureau, I started as a GS7. Now, so I had worked in the private sector for about 10 years before I joined. And so it was an interesting departure to come into the FBI. And they brought me in because of my professional background. So I had spent most of my time in the private sector doing workforce development and change management. And those were both skills that this particular group that reached out to me in the Bureau wanted. However, when it comes to assessing where you're going to fall on the GS scale, the way that our human resources department functions is they take a look at the experience, they take a look at the position that you're trying to be put into, and they're saying, okay, do you have background from before that matches up with that? The particular position I came into in the FBI was a security specialist role. I'd never done anything security related in the private sector, but that's not why they were hiring me. They wanted me to fill this role and bring my workforce development. But HR, that wasn't part of their arithmetic, as it were. So I basically got graded as the lowest level with, coming in as a professional staff, which is a GS7 position. So that was a bit of a challenge. Just, it was a pretty drastic pay cut coming from private sector into the government. But once you get in and if you've got that initiative and if you've got that kind of collaborative relationship building ability, like the sky's kind of the limit. And so once I got into the Bureau, I really started kind of networking and figuring out what does the internal mechanisms of the Bureau really look like? How does the culture work? How do the people work? And so I was able to kind of pivot and really kind of have a very interesting and dynamic career thus far.
Yeah. And I guess I apologize. I always assume when I hear things that even if I know you weren't a special agent, in my mind, I make these assumptions like, oh, that's the same requirement.
Yeah.
So let me rephrase that by saying a mid-career hire, though. And I've seen a lot of great mid-career hires. That's what they called them in the Intel community I supported. And those were always a special breed. And you can kind of tell those who didn't have any real experience, they just, maybe they were summer interns, they get a full-time job to get their clearance, and then they start.
Yeah.
But there was something different when someone brings different ideas and different perspectives and
absolutely
from the private sector.